How you doing today, folks? Now, there's not really any brand in the knife community, right, that is quite as dismissive, or not the right word. I don't know, controversial as Medford, right? And I have a very mixed perception on the man and a very mixed perception on the knives as a whole, but I still can't help but love some of the man's designs, right? So, I got this knife in maybe a couple of weeks ago, right? And this is not an unboxing. I have used this knife quite a bit, but I got this shipped in a regular ass padded flat rate envelope, which tore. And the only reason why I got this knife at all is because the people in this small ass city, I live in a very small city now, know my tall ass pretty well, and they realized what it was, put it back in the actual package, put a tape on it thing, and the guy delivered it to me firsthand and said, "Hey, this fell out. Is this yours? Please make sure this is the right contents of the package." And it was. So it all ended out pretty well. But if you're going to ship a knife, much less a knife that is between $600 to about $1,000 as high as these go for, please use a box. Now, there are times, right, that I will literally take a flat rate envelope. I will wrap, let's say, this in the envelope, right, for padding, then do a box, tape the box up, take the envelope, put that on for waterproofing, tape that up, do the label, tape that up, and then ship it. But just shipping anything in those regular ass envelopes is a recipe for disaster. And this is damn near $1,000 knife that I almost did not get. And then that seller would have been out that money and that knife, and it would have been messy. So, disclaimer, don't do that. Now, without further ado, this is the Benchmade Marauder H, which is a badass knife, right? I've had a full-size Marauder before in the past, and I loved that knife, but it's so heavy. It's not the ergonomics, it's not the size, it's not the in-hand feel, it isn't even the weight in hand. But while carrying a big-ass knife, and if you're like me and suffering from the syndrome no acetol, where you got just a flat back, that extra weight will rip your pants to the ground. And it did that for me multiple times. Ew. What the fuck that is. So the Marauder H is the same overall footprint, but it's just a little bit thinner. And in my opinion, it has much better action. Did you see that, folks? No wrist. Ah, my God. Again, I'm on camera trying to show off. I'm a fail. There you go. No wrist. The actual blade opening is enough to move your hand a little bit, so that's what you saw. But no wrist. Fail. Oh my God. I will be on the couch flipping this knife hundreds of times and not miss one. There you go. But I'm going to miss several on camera. God damn it. As far as it dropping down, it does drop down, requires a little bit of effort. So do that. Good to go. Medfords, right, did not used to do that. And the ones that did occasionally required years to break in. And I mean literal years. I have had the Praetorian Tie, Praetorian T, Praetorian Genesis. I bought a micro tie and I lasered a bunch of dicks all over, gave to a buddy of mine, which he thought was hilarious. It's like a $400 gag gift, but whatever, it was funny. These knives don't drop down. Again, over time, lots of use, you'll break those washers down to the butter. But this knife, so the guy I bought it from, right, said he had just bought it, he got it in hand, did not realize how big it was, and then wanted to move it on. And I was unsure about that, right? But as soon as I actually saw it, this shit is mint. There isn't a scratch or a mark or anything on this knife. So I definitely do believe him. So relatively new. This thing flicks out with no wrist. And it drops shut really nicely. Just a little bit of effort. I was not sure about this, right? Because honestly, these little pockets annoyed the shit out of me. I'm a weird person and I love symmetry. Every single knife you'll see that I actually use, I carry, that I love, is symmetrical. It has matching things on both sides. Everything you're seeing is all matching. Like, I could go on and on and on. For me personally, it's just a big damn deal. And if a knife is just like this on one side and like this on one side, normally it bothers me. And I thought it would, but I got it in hand. I looked at it and I was like, nope, this is pretty. So even this does not bother me. Though a little bit of insider information for you. These are going bye-bye, and they're going to start making just the plain flat scales that have the little finger grooves in there, like the full-size Marauder. So it'll be a thinner blade stock, but the full-size scales, which I'm loving that, man. Thinking about that, the options for contouring, for customizations, for all these different things, they just jump up to me. And I'm like, yes, give me that now. I need more. Like, damn it. There we go. As far as the blade goes, right, Medford used to do this like, it was still a satin, and you could very much see the grind lines and everything else, but it wasn't, I would say, shiny. This is like damn near mirror polished. Like, you can see my phone right there. Crazy. I don't know when they started doing that, but it's pretty badass. And in the right light, you can still very much see the grind lines. And I love that. And I love Medford's Tonto knives. In particular, on the Marauder line, the Tontos are amazing. I love the way they look. I love the way they cut. Now, so as far as the blade goes, I got a little distracted. Tontos pierce. It's just a fact. As far as do Medford knives cut, because I always hear that, yeah, they cut. They actually cut really fucking well. I think they are more designed for hard use. So through like receipt paper or whatever the case may be, not that great. Here's an envelope. It cuts. It's not great. It's not a laser beam. But through cardboard and actual material for actual genuine use, not opening the fucking envelope, it's amazing. I love the grinds. The whole thing, well, Medfords are too thick to cut. That's a lie. Just straight up. People that say those things have either A, never handled a Medford knife before, B, are just dumb, or C, are just trying to cause drama for some illogical ass reason. How thick the blade stock is doesn't affect how thin the behind the edge is. Now, to be clear, if you have like a freaking like a Phil Harvey knife or whatever, which has like fucking like a half-inch thick blade stock or an inch thick blade stock, getting that knife ground down to be really thin behind the edge is probably a massive pain in the ass. But even those giant ass knives still cut. Speaking of which, I just cut myself. Definitely sharp. So it is still good to go. Let me grab a little rag real quick. For the remainder of the video, you're going to see this. And I'm now a lefty. Oh God. Nope. Okay. Ergonomic wise, right? In my wow, it's actually not bleeding. Okay, never mind. I'm a little bitch. Ergonomic wise, for my size 2XL hands, there is nothing on the bottom. It takes up a full handle. It wraps around this little groove right here, and it feels amazing. But if you want to choke up, I got room. Again, size 2XL hands, and I have room on the bottom. And this also feels fantastic. Ergonomic wise, right? Really, really good. Perfect? For me, honestly, kind of. There's no hot spots. I don't feel any problems. There's nothing like that. For the Marauder line, I feel like there's hot spots all over this knife. Or all over that knife, right? For the Marauder, I mean, here you go, nice white and knuckle grip. Like this, I mean, it doesn't feel great. I could definitely, still feel it. There's bits of red spots here and there. It's not, great. But used normally, feels amazing. Feels amazing. And that is a rare thing for me when it comes to knives. As far as carry, this is still a heavy knife, Crooked River, Medford, pretty close to the same length. This weighs like 3 times more than this. It's not quite as much as the full-size Marauder, but it's still like 7-8 ounces if I had to guess. So it's not light, but it actually carries really, really nicely. I actually really enjoy the way it carries, man. Lately, to give you an idea, right, I've been wearing a lot of basketball shorts. So I recently cracked some ribs, broke a couple ribs, broke my leg. I really fucked myself up, right? So I've been wearing a lot of basketball shorts. I have this giant ass fucking boot on my foot, going up to the end of my knee. Can't talk today. And even in basketball shorts, it carries just fine. I made a video, right, years and years ago about a fat daddy, and I was carrying that knife in basketball shorts. I would take a step and it would go, and just literally smack into my leg. And at one point in time, I ran like, I don't know, man, like 10 feet. I forgot why. Something happened, and I went to go run to help. And the knife would lift and then smack me straight in my dick. And it was bad. This knife, despite the size, one, has not done any dick smacking, thankfully, but it also is not so heavy that it actually bounces and then smacks into your leg. It moves. You definitely feel it in basketball shorts. It's made for jeans, to be clear here. But even in basketball shorts, it actually still feels really, really good, which, most bigger knives like this just don't. In jeans, though, it's amazing. Again, still heavy. You can still feel it. It's a chunk of steel in your pocket, steel titanium. But it's good to go, honestly. It's on comparison to honestly, a lot of smaller knives. Like, it feels about the same in pocket as an Nkosi, which is crazy. It's a bigger knife, definitely a heavier knife, but it feels about the same in pocket. As far as the carry, you're going to always have that much sticking out. Maybe you care, maybe you don't. Personally, I don't care at all. It's fine. Now, as far as the aesthetics, right? I don't know how much of this you can actually see on video, but whatever they did to this bronze, if I touch it, see if I can do it right now. I can't see it on video. She probably can't either. But it turns colors. I love it, right? So wipe it off. Just takes a second. Perfect, clean, shiny, beautiful, right? Do that or use it, and like the oils in your fingers turn like an oil slick. So I see purple, blue, slight amounts of green, like 4 different types of blue. It's beautiful. I freaking love it, right? I like this style quite a lot, more than I thought I actually would. On the back, same thing. This one has PVD hardware, PVD clip, and a PVD breaker. So if you like that or not, it's up to you. Personally, I love it, and I freaking adore this blade. This is amazing. So aesthetic-wise, to me, honestly, is a freaking 10. As far as use, again, I have used this knife. I've cut this knife. I put it through a little bit of hell. Nothing crazy, though. And it's held up amazingly. This is in CPM S45VN. No chips, no rolls, still a freaking laser beam-ish. You know, not a full laser beam, but pretty goddamn close. As far as the action goes, this, to me, is the, god damn it, the smoothest Medford I've ever felt by far, right? As far as the slow roll, feels really, really good. Drops down nice. Middle finger flick, drops down nice. You can flick it out like this and then have it like deploy that way, but I can't do that. A buddy of mine held this knife, was like, hey, look, that kind of feels good. And then used his thumb and just popped it out. I was like, how the fuck did you do that? So it can be done. I can't do it, but it can technically be done if you want to do that. But for me, it's all about that reverse flick. I love the way it feels, and also that slow roll. Everyone talks about, right, Sebenza smoothness. This is so much smoother than Sebenzas and Kosi's, than pretty much any knife I own, including ones that cost literally thousands of dollars. It feels amazing. Now, I really like this knife, right? And one of the things I love about this knife was I actually found it out by accident. Now, I was helping out my girl, and I was on a freaking ladder or whatever, and I was trying to open up this knife, and I wanted to do like a precise little cut, and I went to open it up, and I dropped it. And then I caught it by this, and it deployed like that, and just fell in my fucking hand. And I was like, ooh, it was an accident, but love that. And this thing is great for precision cutting. Again, just take it like this, whip it back, and it just goes right there. It just fits so well. And even though I'm sure this knife is not designed to be held like this, there's no hot spots, everything feels fantastic, and this nice Tonto flat grind right there, just, it cuts so well. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I freaking love this goddamn knife. But there is a negative. And it's something that I think is just a QC problem, and I've already fixed it. But in the interest of full disclosure, I was playing with this knife on the couch, right? Literally just doing this, what I do all the fucking time, because I love fidgeting with this goddamn knife, right? I am not a fidget person, but I love the way this knife feels. It's kind of made me into a fidget person. But I was doing that, and the whole goddamn pivot fell out. Now, I posted online about that, right? And I was like, hey, it's not a bash post, but is this like a common thing, you know, in your recommendations? People are like, well, you never had that happen before? So I guess it's a common thing to play with your knife until the pivot comes out. I am not a fidget person at all. So that has never happened to me before in my life. But it did here, and it shocked me. But now I bought a little freaking, it's a T14, I believe it was, Torx, and little like square prong thing. Took a rubber band to it, tightened it up. It was just fine. Got lock stick in the other day, or Loctite in the other day, and then put a little bit of Loctite on the pivot, locked it in. Still butter smooth, feels amazing. I played with this thing for days and days and days, like, to be clear, 4 days, 3 days, something like that. Flipping it thousands of times because, again, this knife has made me into a fidget person. I don't fidget with knives. I just don't. I don't care enough. But this thing, all day, every day, my girl says she doesn't care. I'm pretty sure she cares because it's loud. Like, this thing flicks out with like authority. And I do this all the time. See, now I can do it pretty reliably. Before that, I was fucking up because I was on video, I guess. But I do this constantly, right? It's not come out. It's not loosened. Also, one thing right before I go. When this knife had no pivot, it still had no blade play. I was like, what the hell? And it still had good action. Because the pivot fell out, right? And I wasn't aware of it. I was still doing this with no issues. It still felt amazing. I was like, okay. Then I looked down and I was like, oh shit, there's no pivot. I went to go try to find it and I found it, thankfully. So, crisis averted, but it still deployed reliably. It was still centered. It still had zero freaking, blade play. Like, this thing's rock solid with no pivot. I was like, how is that possible? What? So, whatever Medford Knives is doing right to make their knives do that is nothing short of, in my opinion, remarkable. That's crazy. That's only ever happened with one knife, as far as I'm aware. But again, despite having no pivot, like it had no blade play, like I was like, what the hell? How is that possible? If you loosen a Spyderco just slightly too much, it rocks everywhere. You loosen almost any knife just slightly too much, it rocks everywhere. But a Medford knife, you can take the pivot out, and it's still rock solid. Like, that's insane to me. But now, for my actual review, as a person that loves big, heavy knives, to be clear, as a person that has size 2XL hands, in particular, right, size 2XL hands with big, fat, thick palms and tiny-ass fingers, little sausage fingers, the ergonomics to me are perfect. I love it. The aesthetics-wise, which is very much an inherently biased category, I love it. It's perfect. The edge geometry for what this knife is, because this is a big, thick knife. Does it cut paper super laser beam like or whatever? No, it does not. Cardboard, fantastic. Paper, decent. Me personally, I open boxes a lot more than envelopes, so I don't care. So edge geometry wise, perfect. I love this knife. Now, is it going to be perfect for you? If what I said appeals to you, probably. If what I said does not appeal to you, then no. Medfords are a niche category of cutlery. Most people will hate this knife. This is not an endorsement to Medford or Medford Knife and Tool or for this knife in general, because they are an inherently niche product that I happen to love, and a lot of people actually love this knife and love that company, but most people in the EDC community aren't. So for me personally, as my own individual score, I give this knife a perfect 10 out of 10. I absolutely love it. But full disclosure, you probably won't. Now, as always, folks, I love you all. Please take care, and bye-bye.